Did a doctor tell you that your baby's decreased movement during pregnancy was a sign that their brain injury had already happened? That there was nothing that could have been done to prevent an HIE or subsequent CP diagnosis? Hospitals will often use this argument in birth injury cases, but the truth is that decreased fetal movement doesn't automatically mean that an injury was old or that it was unavoidable. It all depends on what happened next. Today, I'm going to break this down, how hospitals will use this defense and how we push back, and what you need to know about this if you are thinking about investigating your baby's HIE or subsequent CP diagnosis. All of this from a medical legal perspective. When a mother reports less movement, doctors should check the baby's heart rate using the fetal heart monitor and see if there are signs of distress. If there are concerns, then they may also do an ultrasound to assess movement, breathing, and blood flow. And if those tests show distress, waiting too long to act can be dangerous for the baby. Sometimes the safest option is to go ahead and deliver. But what happens when a mother was checked, told everything was fine, sent home, and then later find out that their baby has an HIE brain injury? That's when we start asking questions about whether there were signs that the doctors missed and whether they failed to act. When a baby is diagnosed with the HIE or subsequent CP diagnosis, hospitals will often argue that the injury happened way before labor. They will say that your baby was already in distress, and when you notice less movement, by the time you came in, the damage had already been done. The goal of this is to shift the focus away from what happened during labor, because if they can convince you that the baby's injury was old, they don't have to answer for the decisions that they made during labor and delivery. Sometimes they'll even go further and say that genetics or some other type of developmental issues were the cause of the baby's condition. And here's where we can challenge that argument in some cases. If a mother comes in reporting less movement and the hospital puts her on a fetal monitor, but the readings are normal, then that raises a big question. If the baby was already injured, why is the heart rate normal? If an HIE injury had already happened days or either weeks earlier, we would expect to see some signs of distress on the monitor. But if everything looked fine in that moment, then it's a strong argument to say that the injury happened later during labor. And that's when we have to start looking at whether there were delays which led to the outcome. Another key factor with all of this is your baby's size at birth. If a baby has a normal weight and a normal head circumference for their term gestational age, it challenges the idea that they were struggling for weeks. Babies who have been in distress for a long time are often small, or they have growth restrictions. So when a full-term baby measures normally, it weakens the defense that the injury was old or earlier in time. Now, it's true that sometimes decreased movement is normal. Babies go through sleep cycles, and if they are in a sleep cycle, they're going to move less. If monitoring shows a baby waking up and responding normal, then there may not have been a medical emergency. But the question is, did the hospitals do enough to check? If a mother reports feeling off or something doesn't feel right and the hospital brushes it off, that's where we have to start looking to see, was there a delay in care? If you ever feel that your baby isn't moving like they should, you need to call your doctors. It's always better to get checked than to wait. And if you're looking back at it now wondering whether your concerns were ignored, that's exactly why families will choose to investigate these things. Decreased fetal movement alone doesn't tell the whole story, but when we put together the monitoring records, the labor decisions, and your baby's condition at birth, we can start getting a better picture of all of this. Again, if you have any other questions about your baby's HIE brain injury or subsequent CP diagnosis from a medical legal standpoint, don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. Decreased fetal movement is something that is serious, and it's definitely something that you want to get checked out, because in some cases, although what we're talking about today, that you can have issues with medical providers sometimes decreased fetal movement can be a sign, though, that something is wrong. So I just want to stress that you make sure that if you are dealing with decreased fetal movement, that you do go and you talk with your doctors. Again, I'm Marcus Boston. Like I said, if you have any of these types of questions from a medical legal standpoint about your baby's HIE brain injury, you can check my profile for more information, or you can, if you're on certain apps, you can send me a DM, or you can just wait and watch the picture that follows this video. All right, that's going to be it for this afternoon's quick educational video. Have a great afternoon, everybody.